Think there ain't much you can learn about money from nearly 200 years ago? Think again. Sure is plenty we can learn. So here's 4 lessons to help you be smarter with your money from all the way back in 1849 during the California Gold Rush. Howdy folks, Money Jim here, your money pal. Now most think them 49ers, that's the people who went looking for gold back then, struck it rich. Truth is, only a few did. Most of them just got by, and plenty ended up flat broke. There were some real awful money mistakes made during the California Gold Rush, so listen up real good so you don't make them too. All right, let's get going with lesson number 1. Don't believe everything y'all hear. The gold rush started after the shiny yellow metal was found not too far from where Sacramento is today. Thing is, the news took months to reach people, but when it did, hundreds of thousands of folks from all over the United States and all over the world rushed to get to California as fast as they could to grab a piece of the action. Stuff appeared in newspapers written by people who'd never even been to California, making folks believe they could just turn up and walk away a millionaire. See, get rich quick promises been around a real long time. And guess what? Folks back then, just like plenty do today, believed what they wanted to hear, even if there was as much truth to it as a flying donkey. Sure, folks found gold, but it weren't nearly enough to get rich or even cover their living expenses a lot of time. So what's the lesson here? Well, I'm sure you heard it all before, but if something sounds too good to be true, it is. So don't believe everything y'all hear and go getting tempted by some get-rich-quick promises. Let me give it to you straight. Getting rich ain't quick, and it ain't a piece of cake. But that don't mean it ain't simple enough, and it sure don't mean you can't do it. You sure can, sonny. Now, if a way to make money does take your fancy, make sure it's legit. Stick to the tried and tested, not some fancy new money-making scheme you don't know nothing about. And that brings us nicely on to lesson number 2. Get yourself clued up. You know how many folks went to California during the California Gold Rush? Hundreds of thousands. And you know how many of them had ever mined gold before? Nearly nobody. Hardly anyone back then even knew what California was. Folks didn't know where to look or what to do. And surprise, surprise, hardly anybody found much gold. At least not enough to make a decent living, and a long way off striking it rich. You know who found the most gold? It was the folks who knew what they were doing, who were clued up. So don't go trying to make money before you know what you're doing. Most 49ers didn't have no clue, and surprise, surprise, most of them hardly made a thing, or even ended up worse off. Now, I know getting clued up's easier said than done, but you're in luck, sonny, because Money Jim here's gonna help you get all clued up about money. Sound good to you? Well, then go hit that subscribe button down there. Don't be like those clueless 49ers thinking they could get rich without knowing what to do. Plenty learn the hard way. That's just asking for trouble. Make sure you ain't making the same mistake nearly 200 years later. Now let's move on to lesson number 3, shall we? And that's don't go broke. Now, I realize this might sound an obvious one. Surely everybody knows you don't go getting rich by spending all your money. Thing is, plenty folks sure are real good at burning through all that dough. If you want to get wealthy, it don't matter if you earn a little or a lot. You gotta spend less than you make. If you spend every last cent, then you ain't no richer than a rice cracker. 49ers who went looking for gold, they don't pay no attention to this. No matter how much gold they found, most spent every last ounce of gold they had. I know California today ain't exactly cheap, but back then it was just plain darn ridiculous. And that's why they went home broke. Some were so broke they couldn't even afford to make it back home. Don't let that be you, sonny. Don't go broke. Keep your spending in check. Rein it in if you have to. You gotta have your money under control, not spiraling out of control. Because once you got your spending in check, you can move on to lesson number 4. Get your dough a-working, making your money grow. That's what can make you one wealthy son of a gun. Putting your money to work is the difference between getting rich and just getting by. Just like it was in California in 1849. See, here's the truth about folks who did get rich back then. They weren't the ones digging for gold. No siree. It was the smart ones who put their money to work. Like Samuel Brannan. See, as soon as he heard about the gold, Brannan bought up every pick and shovel and pan he could and sold them for big profits to them gold miners. And that made Brannan California's first millionaire. You might also have heard of some of these other fellas who got real wealthy putting their money to work during the California gold rush. Levi Strauss, whose jeans you might be wearing right now. James Folger, who started a coffee company under his name. And Henry Wells and William Fargo, who set up the bank we still know today. Though they all made their money in different ways, they all put their money to work and got it working harder than they ever could themselves. Now, there's plenty of ways you can do that. You can set up a business. You can get into real estate. But for me, something everybody can do and should do is get investing. I ain't talking trading, buying and selling for a quick buck. I'm talking investing for the long run. Yes, sirree. Believe it or not, investing in stocks and bonds goes back even before the gold rush. They've been tried and tested plenty. Imagine your great-great-great-grandpappy invested $1 in the Dow Jones Index when it started in the late 1800s. That single dollar would now be worth over $1,000. Now, you and I both know you ain't gonna be investing that long, but you gotta admit those are mighty impressive returns, right? And even if you invest for 30 years instead of 130, trust me when I say y'all do mighty fine with your money. See, getting rich is simple. Thing is, people try and make it complicated or get dollar signs in their eyes whenever something promises easy money. It ain't really no different to when all those folks went to California hunting for gold nearly 200 years ago.